Good morning. It's Saturday the 7th of November and it's again approaching lunchtime. Sorry, I will try and get these daily reflections slightly earlier. I've been out for a run this morning and the weather is absolutely beautiful. It's a real autumnal turning wintry day if you've not been out yet, and it was really nice. This morning in morning prayer we're reading through Daniel, and we're also reading through Revelation. So that's a book of the Old Testament and the final book of the New Testament as well. And the story of Daniel, if you don't know it, is a story of a king coming and invading the nation of Israel, taking lots of the people of Israel prisoner and sending them off to his own country. The king selects a number of the good and the healthy young men, and he puts them in training camp. It's essentially prison, but he trains them for service in his kingdom. And so for a year they're to be trained up to serve him and to be loyal servants of his palace. They are given new names, they're given a new identity, so no longer do they have their Israelite identity, they have a Babylonian identity, and they're forced to observe all the customs and rituals of the Babylonian Empire rather than of the Israelite way of life that God had commanded. And one of the things that we pick up early on in this story is they're called to eat a diet of Babylonian and not the diet of Israelites. And Daniel turns around and says, no, I want to live the way I live. I think it's better for me. I want to honour those things that God has asked me to honour. And the king of the prison guard, he says, well, no, I'll be in trouble with the king if I do that. Daniel says, do it as a trial. Let me do it for a period of time, and if I'm worse than everybody else, I will revert back to your way of things. But if I'm better, let me carry on. And so what happens over a period of time is Daniel continues to live out faithfully to God, disobeying the orders of the king. And what they discover is he's stronger, he's wiser, he's greater because of his faithfulness to God. And it becomes an example to the people of Israel who've been enslaved, but it also becomes an example to the king. If you go on to read the story of Daniel, Daniel remains faithful to God despite adversity, and great things happen. He's thrown into the fire and he's saved by God. He's thrown into a lion's den, he's saved by God. And there's this real story of endurance and of faithfulness. But the thing I picked up this morning is King Nebuchadnezzar, who's not an Israelite king, he's not a king of God. He has a dream, and no one can interpret this dream except Daniel. Daniel interprets the dream and tells him what God is saying through it. And for me, what struck out really quite powerfully is actually, I think there's permission there for us to dream. For us to have dreams, have visions, to have a sense of imagination about how we can change the world. Martin Luther King's famous speech, I have a dream. What's your dream? And I think in this time of lockdown, now's a real opportunity once more. I may have said this back in lockdown 1. For us to look at the ways we live our lives, for us to look at our communities, for us to look at our friendships and our relationships, and to go, what can I dream in these? What can I change? What can be better? What needs to change? And have the permission, have the courage to dream of something greater and of something good. And so I just want to commend that to you, really. Have the courage to dream a little, to pray into those dreams, to ask God in his faithfulness to provide in abundance for those dreams if it's his will, and to let all sorts of beautiful things flourish. In this weekend of remembrance, as we start to turn our eyes towards the 11th of November, we give thanks for those who laid down their lives for our freedom, for our liberty, for justice, for equality. But it took some really wise and courageous people to have the vision, to have the dream that actually we should stand up for what's right. It would have been easy to capitulate and say, okay, we'll let them have that stuff over there and we'll stay over here, and as long as they allow us to do our way of life and to avoid war. But they had this vision of actually what they're doing's not right and we should stand up to it, and we should make all things right for all people. and that battle continues to go on today, thankfully not with war. But there were people within war that had dreams and visions of how to do things right, how to get things right. And it's them that we remember, as well as those who paid the ultimate sacrifice purely for being loyal. So in this week of remembrance, on this beautiful day, just an encouragement really to be people that dream, to be people of imagination, to be people of courage and faithfulness despite everything that gets thrown at us. Because it's in the dreams, it's in the visions, it's in the imaginations that new, great and beautiful things are born. And it's in the faithfulness and the endurance and the perseverance that they begin to flourish. Whatever you're doing today, take care. Whatever you're doing this weekend for remembrance, take care. We've got a service on Facebook and YouTube at 10:45 tomorrow, where I and the local councillors gathered earlier on in the week for our service of remembrance at the War Memorial. Do tune in. And then if you're going out for a daily walk, do maybe walk by your local War Memorial and pay your respects. And then we've also got a service at 6:15 tomorrow evening, again online on YouTube and Facebook. I'm going to go and film it shortly, which is going to be more like our Sunday services online, obviously, because the morning's fairly formal. So do join us for one of those. But take care. God bless.